It was this time about 20, well, almost 20 years ago in the state of California.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Larry Elder Show. I don't know what that was. The number to call in to the relieffactor.com studio is 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. Today it is on like Donkey Kong, as one wise philosopher once said, although I couldn't tell you who that one wise philosopher was, but I like saying it's on like Donkey Kong. So today is the day. Today is the California recall election. And by the way, all of you that are in California, you can still go out and make your voice heard. Correct me if I am wrong, Sean, but I believe that you can go out up until 7 p.m. Pacific Coast time. Okay, 8 p.m. Pacific Coast time. But get there early. If you can get there 6, 7, whatever, get there, be there, and you can vote again. You can vote yes or vote yes to recall Greasy Gavin Newsom. And what this is about is, let me say this, and I touched on this yesterday. The California recall election isn't about Gavin Newsom. Though it is. I mean, it is about his policies. It isn't so much about Larry Elder, though it is, because in a sense it's about his policies too. The media doesn't want to talk to you about his policies, so I'll talk to you about his policies tonight. But seriously, what the recall election is about is average Californians. It's people like you and I. It's people, regular everyday people that just say or have said, you know what, enough is enough. I want to be in control of my own destiny. I want a taste of the American dream. I don't want anyone holding me back. I don't want anyone telling me how far I can go. The recall election is more about you. Larry Elder has policies that he'll put on a plate and serve to you if Gavin Newsom is recalled. Or you get the same old, put on a plate and handed to you if Gavin Newsom stays in office, if you guys elect to keep him in office. I will say this. If California elects to keep Gavin Newsom in office, you get exactly what you deserve. You get exactly what you deserve. The next couple of years are going to be extremely tough. Inflation isn't going anywhere. Got some news today. It was supposedly good news because inflation didn't increase as high as they thought it would. As if that's good news. It increased just a little bit. So that means that it isn't transitory. It means it's here to stay. Biden inflation is here to stay. As long as Democrats are in charge, you're going to be paying more for gas. You're going to be paying more for food. It's just here to stay. So you guys have a huge choice to make for your quality of life, for the betterment of your own life. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. All right, so here you have Gavin Newsom says that a vote for Larry Elder is a vote against diversity and racial justice. I want to get into this. Also, AOC wears this dress, tax the rich. I'm sure you guys have heard about this, but I want to tell you guys what this is really about. And I'm going to give you a ghetto fabulous perspective because I don't think there's anyone else on radio that can really give you a perspective on this AOC dress like I can, to be quite honest with you. So I want to talk about that. It's pretty crazy. In the second hour, I'm going to have interview a young millennial that's coming up, Michaela Goetz of the Something Burger podcast. We're going to talk about his porn destroying love. Also, saw an article that I want to talk to her about, and as far as Instagram is concerned, and girls that are literally getting depressed and feeling more anxiety and all that kind of stuff because they're constantly on Instagram and the toll that it's taking on young girls. So I want to get into that with her because I got to tell you the truth. I think a lot of what we're seeing today, a lot of the chaos, a lot of the decadence that we're seeing in American culture today is largely, I believe Democrats are largely to blame. Not in total, obviously, but largely to blame. And Democrat policies are largely to blame. Let's get into this issue with Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom says a vote for Larry Elder is a vote against diversity and racial justice. Now, let's be clear who this is coming from. This is coming from, and listen, I don't like using these terms, to be completely honest with you. But for the sake of the show, I'm going to use them. This is coming from a guy that is a complete elitist. I got some research here that I'll share with you in just a little bit. Complete elitist, comes from a family of money. And this guy is talking about diversity. This guy is talking about racial injustice. It's sickening to me that, I got to be honest with you, that white liberals can get away with talking about someone, an ethnic minority, in the way that Gavin Newsom does. And yet, this is supposed to be the party that isn't racist. No, this is the party that is racist. I've told you plenty of times, the Democrat Party has switched out the chains and the whips and the plantations for welfare checks and books and academia. They just do it a different way. They figure out new ways, clever ways to keep you enslaved now. You know, they're not going to whip you. They'd go to jail. But they'll try and trick you. Unfortunately, they've been able to do that to my people for quite some time. And it's pretty frustrating. Hat tip Breitbart. California Governor Gavin Newsom rallied supporters in Long Beach on the final night of campaigning in the California recall election, telling them that a vote for his main opponent, Larry Elder, is a vote against diversity and racial justice. Okay. So voting against or voting for a black guy is a vote against diversity and racial justice. I got to tell you why I think this is so despicable and racist. This New York or LA Times reporter called Larry Elder the black face of white supremacy. Larry Elder, again, and I've said it a few times now on the show, is the black face of American exceptionalism. And Gavin Newsom is trying to keep him down. See, Gavin Newsom can't talk to you about his issues. He can't talk to you about his policies. He talks about global warming, and Larry Elder will be bad for global warming. He says, what does he say? He says that basically Elder believes climate change is a myth. And Larry Elder doesn't believe that, by the way. I have differing views on that. Larry Elder doesn't believe that. Now, this is coming from a man who doesn't manage the forest well, doesn't spend the money cleaning up the forest or spend the money on forest management that he should. And so your Northern California is in flames. And this guy wants to talk to other people about quote unquote man-made climate change. What the heck is it when you set your state on fire because of your sheer incompetence, Gavin Newsom? What is that? What type of damage does that do? It's amazing to me that Democrats will always try to distract from their policies. They'll call you every name in the book. They'll say, oh, there's no diversity there. There's no racial justice. They can't even explain it. Do you think Gavin Newsom has experienced any type of diversity his entire life? And I'm being serious with you. This is a guy, if there is a such thing as white privilege, and by the way, I typically think it's family privilege, to be quite honest with you. But if there is a such thing as white privilege, this guy's the epitome of it. This guy's the epitome of it. He attacked Larry Elder. Elder's views on race and gender, he says, we're out of touch with the left-wing views that California Democrats hold. California Democrats, let me ask you this. Do you have brains? Do you believe that a man could be a woman and vice versa? If you do, then you're not in line with science. It's as simple as that. You're not in line with science.
I grew up poor, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
We'll all be able to say, free
Free at last! Free at last!
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is. You must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth, okay? To deny that the Taliban, that you are giving Afghanistan over to the Taliban if you leave.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay.
As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy, and thankfully, without any American casualties. We have seen thousands of people who have been evacuated from the airport in Afghanistan, where the United States military doing very hard and difficult work.
It's very difficult to get all those Afghans out of Afghanistan. Again, let me read the numbers to you. This was leaked, and it's on the Federalist. We've got the whole article posted at MikeOnline.com. According to this leaked information from the U.S. State Department, the evacuation numbers, within 15-hour period of time, August 23rd, midnight to 3 p.m., the United States evacuated a total of 6,916 people. Only 483 were Americans. The vast majority were Afghan nationals, 6,425.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
Afghanistan continues to be a mess, and Americans are stranded in Afghanistan, and our government is uncertain what to do. We have some exclusive frontline updates from Afghanistan to share with you, including how private contractors and private citizens are stepping up and doing the job that our government refuses to do.
Call in 888-971-7243. We're coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. Today is California recall election night. Hopefully it doesn't turn into California recall election week, given some of the craziness that is happening in California. But here you have this guy, Gavin Newsom, that is saying, hey, Larry Elder, this guy, he's against diversity. This guy, he's against racial justice. And that's just complete, utter nonsense, but it's what the left does. They throw out these words, these inflammatory words. They throw out these talking points. And sadly, most of the voters, far too many Democrat voters, they'll hear these words and they're like, oh, yeah, that's right. But they never dive in. They couldn't tell you what it means. What do you mean that Larry Elder is against diversity? What is diversity? What do you mean by that? Explain that. Do you just mean that men can be women and women can be men? What does that mean? Because Larry Elder certainly is into, when it comes to diversity of thought, He appreciates the different ethnic backgrounds and people. And the California recall election shows that other people, different origins, appreciate him. So what exactly do you mean by diversity? And then what is racial justice? How is it that you, Gavin Newsom, are able to explain racial justice, although you haven't, and you can try to explain racial justice, or you think you can better understand racial justice better than a 69-year-old black man? To me, this is what you call the epitome of racism, the epitome of arrogance as well. Again, all Newsom has is attacks. He talks about how Elder believes that women aren't as smart as men. And again, Elder was quoting at a time, quoting the Annenberg study, which is a left-wing think tank, basically. And he was quoting a woman, a female researcher, who drew those conclusions and who was actually befuddled by the conclusions, but nonetheless, she drew them. So Elder was quoting her. And so this is what the left does, because the left don't think the left believes that their voters are stupid. And Gavin Newsom, that's what he's hoping to get away with tonight. He's hoping to be able to fool enough of you Californians where he'll get to stay in office. He'll get to remain in office. So Californians, this is totally up to you. This is totally up to you. The question on the ballot, yet obviously, practically speaking, number one, yes, you vote yes to recall to recall Gavin Newsom, and then replace him with Elder. But the first question is the most important. Yes, I want to recall Elder. And I got to tell you, if you go up, I want to recall Newsom. Why do I keep saying that? If you walk up to a voting place and they tell you that you voted, listen, don't take that. If Democrats will get ghetto fabulous on the scene, I want to speak to a supervisor. I want to know where this goes. I want to know where my vote went. See, we're used to playing nice. We got to get rid of that attitude. The only way that we're going to take back America is, like I said last night, embrace the suck. This stuff is going to be to fight for freedom. Fighting for freedom is never going to be easy. And we just have to endure it. We just have to endure it. And again, I'll get into some of Gavin Newsom's numbers a little later. I want to start touching on this AOC story. And then I'm going to tell you why Democrats are always winning even when they lose. And I can't stand it. But, again, I spoke about this briefly yesterday, how in some regards you have to respect Nancy Pelosi. You have to respect the Democrat Party because they believe in making incremental change. And this year they believe in making big change. I mean, they're absolutely going for the gusto. Unfortunately, when it comes to Republicans, we don't get that treatment from our team, and it stinks. So I'm going to explain to you how Democrats are always winning, even when they lose. But let me get to this issue with AOC. I had to forget, man. AOC mocked, criticized after wearing tax the rich dress to the elitist Met Gala, branded a fraud. A couple of things that I want you to understand. Democrats like flossing. And all people do to some extent, and I'll explain this. But even poor Democrats like flossing, and I think it's even worse amongst rich Democrats. All right, so here's what flossing means. You basically you want to take it from a poor perspective. All right. So when I was younger, I liked looking good. I liked dressing nice. My parents didn't have a lot of money, but I would always try to, make sure my stuff was ironed, looking good, looking sharp. You always try to pretend like you have more than you actually do when you floss. Sadly, this is a phenomena that happens far too often in low-income communities. This is why you'll go to some of the poorest neighborhoods around the country and you'll see kids that are rocking Jordans, so on, etc. Because you always want to look like you have more than you actually have. You don't want to be that kid that's teased. I think a lot of poor people or, some middle class people even kind of grow up with this mentality. And oftentimes people don't know how to handle money. And so they just pour money when they do get it into things of little to no value, because you always want to impress the Joneses. That's what you want to do. And I used to do that. I used to be there. I can remember wanting Jordan so bad. I can remember wanting these Magic Johnson Converse. You guys remember those Converse when when Magic Johnson was wearing those little tiny shorts, and he had those Converse, they were gold and purple and white, and I wanted some of those things so bad. Still want them. I actually want mine a pair. Yes, it was crazy. Sean is telling me, people were getting killed over shoes. It was so insane, but we could never afford them. But I would see kids in my school that, had some. And then when Jordan started coming out, I would see kids in my school that rocked Jordans, and I always wanted them, but we could never afford them. And what's funny is as I got older and then as I got, mature, and as I started understanding and reading about money and investing, so on, etc., I didn't want Jordans anymore because I didn't want to pay that much money for it. But I always wanted to look good for other people. I'm telling you, what AOC is going through, it isn't necessarily about hypocrisy, though it is hypocrisy. I get that. This is a woman that's flossing. This is a woman that has come from nothing, and now she's exposed to all of this wealth, and she doesn't know how to handle it. And she's going to completely look like a hypocrite forever and a day because she espouses these socialist views, but in her own mind, I'm telling you, she can't handle it because she came up too quickly. She didn't have to work for anything. I mean, the girl just blew up. Social media, she won this little weird contest where she got to run for Congress, and she was a shoo-in. She was likable, and she's blown up. So here she attends this $35,000 gala per ticket. And anyway, I'll get into more of this. I'll get into this after the break because there's more to this story than you might think. We'll be back in a few.
Streaming on Salem Now.
Tesla was a genius. His most amazing discoveries thought to be written in a lost journal. Now, in the right hands, it could revolutionize the 21st century.
If you can stop an earthquake, doesn't that mean you could start one too?
That's why that notebook should never fall into the wrong hands.
Shall we stop this thing?
Save the universe!
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay.
As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
This is why we're fighting for the soul of America.
You should be able to share ideas without fear of being fired from your job or shouted down.
You are not to be heard. This is one of the few things we have no precedent for in the United States.
You have the right to remain silent.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Man, I miss my father, and I want him to be here with me, but he's not. We all had something in common. A lot of us were miserable. We had no fathers in our lives.
This is how I began the life of crime.
I desired to have a father who would tell me that what I did was wrong.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I think this family can pick you up every time you fall.
Every time I take one step forward.
When Wright came in this morning, he wants to fight you.
No one expected this out of him.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I grew up poor, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
We'll all be able to say, free at last, free at last.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is. You must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth. Okay?
You're attending the Met Gala, an event where individual tickets reportedly cost $30,000 and up in a designer dress that stated tax the rich. Individual tickets are reportedly priced at $30,000 apiece, a far cry from when Vogue editor-in-chief Anna Wintour first took over the running of the event in '95 when they were just $1,000. Then there are the tables typically bought by brands and fashion houses. These reportedly start at $275,000. AOC, of course, was widely mocked and criticized online, including by her supporters for the stunt, including E.J. Dixon, senior writer at Rolling Stone, tweeted, "Am I the only one who thinks this is really effing stupid? The dress is ugly. She's at a $35K per person event, and this isn't nearly the own she thinks it is. The dress is ugly. I mean, I love her, but come on, this is so dumb. Peak girl boss S." Glenn Greenwald, a progressive blogger, tweeted lots of people commenting snidely on the lack of masks and social distancing in this opulent indoor event in the middle of a pandemic. But as was true of Obama's indoor bash, COVID wasn't invited to the Met Gala, and these are the sophisticated people who aren't in danger. I think he hits closer to home. Because essentially all of this stuff, all of these stories actually align together. Whether we're talking about Gavin Newsom, whether we're talking about AOC, here's what I want you to understand Democrats believe, and then I'm going to get back to the flossing issue. And this is what we're seeing in the California recall election as well, in my opinion. As long as Democrats are in charge, I want you to hear this. As long as Democrats are in charge, you will always be on the outside looking in. As long as Democrats are in charge, you will always be on the outside looking in. Democrats have no incentive, nor do they have the desire to make your life a better one, to create an atmosphere while they're in office to make sure they empower you or to make your life better. We can see that with Gavin Newsom. Larry Elder is a different breed of person. Larry Elder is an attorney, businessman, nationally syndicated radio host. The guy has real life experience. He's come up, born and raised in South Central Los Angeles, and he says, listen, I'm a 69-year-old black man. I worked hard. I bust my butt. I've become successful. If I can do it in America, you can do it in America, because you know why? America is an easier place to succeed in today than it was when Larry Elder was a young man. So Larry Elder says, listen, come join me. Gavin Newsom, the Democrat Party, says, no, you're on the outside looking in. AOC is like a little girl who, it's like this princess thing. Man, I want to go here. She made some ludicrous comments trying to explain it away. Well, she and her little squad reps, one or two, I can't recall how many, may have gone as well. But the bottom line is, this is a woman that went from Poe to straight up flossing. She's enjoying the lifestyle. She's enjoying the accolades. She's enjoying a dress. Yeah, it may be ugly, but her dress was relatively expensive. It says the Congresswoman's dress was reportedly designed by Aurora James of Brother Valey's, who has an estimated net worth of $9 million. Speaking with Vogue, James, founder and creative director of Brother Valey's, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, and the founder of the 15% Pledge, said she wanted AOC's statement to push the country forward. She says we can never get too comfortable in our seats at the table once they've been given. We must always continue to push ourselves, push our colleagues, push the culture, and push the country forward. Fashion is changing. America is changing. And as far as this thing goes, I think Alexandria and I are a great embodiment of the language fashion needs to consider adding to the general lexicon as we work towards a more sustainable, inclusive, and empowered future. AOC is just enjoying the lifestyle. She's leaving you guys behind. Gavin Newsom, he's enjoying the lifestyle. He's leaving you guys behind. This is what they fight to get elected for. They don't fight for the people. 50 years they've been fighting for the people, and you're still broke as a joke. Wherever Democrats rule, you're broke as a joke. They're not fighting for you. They're fighting to floss. They want to look good. They want to feel good. They want more power. California, you can make a change tonight. We'll be back.
Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
And as far as I'm concerned, if I may, as a former insider, the key question is going to be personnel. We need to build the bench that helps staff you and doesn't subvert you. What are your plans? What would the second term look like? And who's going to build that bench for you, sir?
Well, first of all, for your listeners, you did a fantastic job. You were terrific. I deal with you a lot. And I dealt with you after you went out and made a fortune. I hope you're making a fortune anyway, but I think you are based on your ratings. But I dealt with you a lot, and that's why I do your show, and I don't do a lot of other shows. I do people that I respect and people that have been fair, and you've been really, I congratulate you. But you were very important, and the great job that you did. You have a knowledge. I heard the word strategist mentioned in the opening, that you were a strategist, and that's really what Biden needs. He needs somebody to help him because our country is embarrassed. Our country has never been embarrassed like they are right now. In the speech in Alabama, where we had a massive crowd, they say 68,000 people showed up in the rain. It was rain and thunder. And I had the idea the morning of, this was Saturday, the morning of, put up the General Patton, the opening monologue that he does in the movie Patton, which I don't know if it got the Academy Award or very close. And I think George C. Scott did get the Academy Award. But we put up the opening monologue, and I said, that is not a woke general, but it's a general that knows how to win. And we have guys that are more interested in things that have nothing to do with our military. It's really what's going on now is crazy with our whole country. What they're doing now to our country is absolutely frightening.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
How is it possible that Joe Biden let this happen? Was this intentional? Did he want our enemies to have it? It's hard to believe that incompetence could possibly let this happen. Jake Sullivan, the highly unimpressive person who's never done anything useful in his life, says we don't have a complete picture, obviously, of where every article of defense materials has gone, but certainly a fair amount of it has fallen into the hands of the Taliban. And obviously, we don't have a sense that we're going to be ready to hand it over to us at the airport. The Taliban now has the 26th largest air force in the world with 0 pilots. 600,000 weapons, 75,000 vehicles, 200 total aircraft, and $85 billion in total weapons. 110 helicopters, 60 transportation cargo airplanes, 20 light attack airplanes, and 18 intelligence, reconnaissance, and surveillance airplanes. The Taliban now has more Black Hawk helicopters than Australia. And this is all on our government. This is all on Joe Biden, who now wants praise, who says, this was a perfect withdrawal. Are you kidding me? Cut 59, Jen Psaki says that the Afghanistan effort is a success. It's on track to be the largest airlift in U.S. history.
Say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. No, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Anything but a success.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending.
All right, Gavin Newsom's white privilege had tip. Forgot, man. This is from the Wall Street Journal. If the polls going into Tuesday's recall election in California hold up, by the way, the number to call into the ReliefFactor.com studio, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. Hey, let me talk to you about Cry Macho. Warner Brothers Pictures presents Cry Macho. From legendary director Clint Eastwood comes a story of being lost and found. Eastwood returns as a one-time rodeo star and washed-up horse breeder who takes a job to bring back a man's young son home from Mexico. The unlikely pair face an unexpectedly challenging journey. The only road home is through redemption. See it in theaters and on HBO Max for 31 days beginning this Friday. Rated PG-13. That's Cry Macho. So here's Gavin Newsom's white privilege. If white privilege exists, this guy is the epitome of it. And no one should ever take any of these liberals seriously. Any of these liberals seriously that'll tell a white Christian conservative or a white male that happens to be a Republican, conservative, libertarian, oh, you got white privilege. That's why you don't buy into the social justice nonsense. This is why you don't buy into critical race theory. You're just a racist, so on, etc. If white privilege is a thing, Mr. Newsom is drenched in it, according to the Wall Street Journal. Mr. Newsom's father was a well-connected state judge who once managed one of the trusts for the family of oil magnate J. Paul Getty. As for his son, the Los Angeles Times says that a coterie of San Francisco's wealthiest families has backed him at every step of his rise. This privilege is reflected in the $70 million Mr. Newsom raised to fight the recall, more than 5 times the $13 million raised by his leading challenger, Larry Elder. California has become the epicenter of neo-feudalism, and Newsom symbolizes this new autocracy, says this is from Joel Kotkin, a fellow in urban studies at Chapman Urban University, Orange County. The irony is that Elder is attacked as the candidate of the rich and greedy by this new elite, high-tech teachers unions, the media, and some of the state's wealthiest citizens. And guys, I urge you to do a Google search. Seriously, when you go and find the wealthiest districts around the country, maybe there's been a little shifting because I haven't checked in a few years. But when you look at the wealthiest districts and cities around the country, the vast majority of them are blue cities. And honestly, I would yell this from the mountaintops rooftops anyway, for years. Because Republicans never seem to know how to talk about this issue. It was so frustrating. We were always supposedly the party of the rich elite, and then you go and you can just go check out the representatives in Congress. And there are plenty of Republicans that are wealthy, and I have no problem with people being wealthy if they earn their money honestly. I could absolutely care less. More power to you. But this nonsense that all Republicans are just about the rich and so on, et cetera. Meanwhile, you see these major corporations teaming up with the Democrat Party and these social media elites as well in order to squash middle-class America, in order to stifle our concerns, in order to stifle our voice. It's totally amazing to me. So this guy is the epitome. He is the absolute epitome of privilege. If there is such a thing as white privilege, this guy is the epitome of it. He's gotten a free pass for virtually his entire life, and he continues to do so. This is why he'll never be a good governor. He's never had to perform. He's never had to be accountable to anyone based upon his performance. Let me put it that way. This is what this guy does. You guys have a choice. Are you going to be voters that are you guys going to be the ones that are looking in the glass, or are you guys going to be the ones that are back in control? Larry Elder is trying to give you Californians the opportunity to control the driver's seat once again. The question is whether or not you'll take it. That's the question, whether or not you'll take it. If let's say you're poor, you're poverty stricken, so on, etc. Oh, I just hate Larry Elder. He's an Uncle Tom. He's a sellout, this and that, so on, etc. Listen, okay, whatever. This is about you. See, the Democrats always want to throw Larry Elder. They want to throw the opponent in your face. They want to make personal attacks and all these ad hominem attacks, the issue. That's what they want to do, but they never want to talk about policies. You can hate Larry Elder's guts all you want. You can love Gavin Newsom all you want. The question is whether you still are going to be on the outside looking in if Gavin Newsom retains office, or do you have a shot at the American dream if Larry Elder is in office? It doesn't matter how you feel about people. It doesn't matter how politicians necessarily make you feel. What matters is what they do. This is amazing to me. Consumer prices up 5.3% as food, fuel, and shelter surge. Now, this is a national story, but you guys feel this stuff right in California. And the rest of the United States, the Democrat Party is trying to follow what you do in California. We have a mayor that's hell-bent here in Orlando, trying to be like California, it seems to me. Consumer prices rose again in August, albeit at a slower pace than earlier in the summer. This is supposedly good news, folks. This consumer price index rose 5.3% compared with a year ago, the Department of Labor said Tuesday. On a monthly basis, the consumer price index rose just 0.3%. That continues the trend seen since January, as the U.S. economy has been racked by soaring prices and ongoing supply disruptions. But the resurgence of coronavirus infections has slowed parts of the economy. And now I got to tell you, I disagree with that. It has nothing to do with the resurgence of coronavirus. It has everything to do with the absolute hysteria of the left of telling you you cannot move on and live life with this coronavirus going around. This is what it's about. These people want to bankrupt. As long as they can keep power, they could care less what happens to your pocketbooks, because their pocketbooks will always swell. Ocasio-Cortez has been in office for 3 years. From what I understand, she's already a millionaire. Tell me how that happens. This is unreal, people. We got to fight back.
The Democratic Party somehow has convinced black people that they're the good guys. Never mind the skanky history of the Democratic Party. That was a party of slavery.
They're racist, racist, racist. Everything's racist.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com. Streaming on Salem Now.
Tesla was a genius. His most amazing discoveries thought to be written in a lost journal. Now, in the right hands, it could revolutionize the 21st century.
You can stop an earthquake. Doesn't that mean you could start one too?
That's why that notebook should never fall into the wrong hands.
Shall we stop this thing?
Save the universe!
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay. As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
This is why we're fighting for the soul of America.
You should be able to share ideas without fear of being fired from your job or shouted down.
You are not to be heard. This is one of the few things we have no precedent for in the United States.
You have the right to remain silent.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Man, I miss my father, and I want him to be here with me, but he's not.
We all had something in common. A lot of us were miserable. We had no fathers in our lives.
This is how I began the life of crime.
I desired to have a father who would tell me that what I did was wrong.
Show. The number to call in to the ReliefFactor.com studio is 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. You know, the more I think about this issue with AOC, she's gone from flossing to just deciding to leave you guys behind. You guys think she's going back to her prior life if and when she leaves Congress? No, she's got a taste of the good life now. So this is a girl that was at one point in time pretending to be, I'm sure, all of that. She's made it into Congress. She pretends like she's a socialist, and she is a socialist for you. I mean, she doesn't want you to succeed. She wants you to spread the wealth amongst yourselves, but she isn't going back to that. And I think her appearance at this Met Gala proves just that. You know, this is amazing to me, but this is who Democrats are. The good news about everything that's happening, despite all of the chaos that we've seen during these COVID lockdowns, is the left has continued to show you exactly who they are. Let's go to the lines. Let's take Rob in Citrus Heights, California. Rob, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Carl, I'm loving how you're filling in for Larry. You're doing a great job. It's nice to hear your perspective on stuff, and you're so parallel to him. So you stole my thunder already. I was going to say Gavin Newsom is the poster child for white privilege. I've been sort of spreading it since I've either heard a piece of that Wall Street Journal broadcast by some other speaker in the last day or so, or it just came to my mind. I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner, because he is truly the poster child for that. The gel helmet gel hair helmet, golden boy of the Democrat Party, who has no competence and no skills. I told my kid growing up, son, good looks and charm will get you by for about 15 minutes. After that, you better be able to do something, and you better have some knowledge. And
so true.
Newsom just doesn't show it. He doesn't have it. And he's been skating along for his whole career and needs to be thrown out and destroy his chances at the presidency. So what can we do?
All right. Well, Rob, listen, I appreciate the call, and I think in California you guys have a real opportunity to do that. So take a friend with you, and if they tell you that you've already voted, I think it's time. Be respectful as possible, but I think it's time to raise a ruckus. Democrats get what they want. Republicans, we tend to back down. This isn't time to back down. Figure out who you need to go to make sure that your voice is heard, that your vote is counted. I'm sure it isn't as simple as that, but we need to do the work. We really do. In the next hour, I'm going to be talking about Michaela Goetz, or actually talking with Michaela Goetz of the Something Burger podcast. We'll continue with more coverage on the California recall election. And I want to talk about this comedian at SNL, Jim Brewer, who canceled some of his shows due to COVID concerns. We'll be back. All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. The number to call in to the ReliefFactor.com studio is 888-971-7243. That's 888-971-7243. On the line with me right now is my guest of the Something Burger podcast, Michaela Goetz. Michaela, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Oh, wow. All
right,
is that my fanfare?
Yes. Did you hear that large crowd behind me going nuts for you?
Yeah, they love me.
Yes. As Sean said, something burger with cheese. So you've got a crowd going nuts for you. But anyway, she is. You can check out the Something Burger podcast basically anywhere that you can get podcasts. You can find Michaela on Facebook at the Michaela Goetz, and you spell that MIKAYLA GOETZ, or on Twitter at Michaela Goetz. Gets spelt the same way. All right, so here's why I want it. Listen, Michaela, I'll just be blunt. Michaela is an up-and-coming star. This girl is going to be a star. I think your kids, I want your kids to follow her. I want your kids to listen to her. And we're going to get back into the California recall election race in just a little bit. But if you have young kids around, you have young millennials around, you have teenagers around, I want you to listen to some of the things that she has to say, and then I want you guys to seriously consider following her. One of the two issues that I want to talk about with Michaela today is, one, we have this issue of porn. And Michaela was actually filling in with the American Adversaries filling in for me on my my local show here in Orlando, Florida, and I don't get to hear them live, but I get to hear them later in the week. And so I was listening, and she was making some really good points. And so I wanted to talk to her about that. So, Michaela, porn is a different industry today. You've spoken about that on your podcast, and you say that conservatives should be more aware of the type of porn that is out there. And you also believe that we shouldn't disengage from this because it's part of America's moral bankruptcy. Explain that.
Okay, so when I talk about how porn is different today than maybe the boomer generation thinks of porn, in the past you might have to go to a store and buy an X-rated video or go somewhere in public and buy a Playboy. Today, you can be a 9-year-old boy with an iPhone, and you're going to have access to porn in styles that we have never even considered. I have an episode of my podcast I did about 2 weeks ago called Does Porn Kill Love? And I talk about this. There's a stat that 88% of scenes in porn films contain acts of physical aggression, and 49% have verbal aggression in them. And we're not talking some of the more classic BDS, S&M kind of stuff. No, we're talking about some really graphic things that are happening to people of all ages, and I don't think parents know what their kids are watching. And when I talk about moral bankruptcy, if I had to think of America's problem in one word, Carl, I would say it is that we are bankrupt. We are financially bankrupt. We are spiritually bankrupt. We are morally bankrupt, and we are relationally bankrupt. I think that conservatives are not on the ground working in the issues surrounding human relationships. And I ask myself, why? Why are we not interested in this? We seem to have been interested in tax cuts and the fight against socialism. We haven't connected the fight for freedom with human relationships. And that's part of the soapbox I stand on, I would say, because when I launched the Does Porn Kill Love episode, I found it to be surprisingly controversial in center and center-right communities. I have my podcast out there. I was getting emails. I was getting comments, and people were not on the same page as me and thought this is kind of a fuddy-duddy religious issue, and it's not relevant to the fight against socialism. But my argument is that those people are wrong, and I work hard to convince them of that, because moral bankruptcy erodes personal liberty. When you become accustomed to slavery in any area of your life, you are susceptible to it in others. And we have an entire generation of people who are becoming slaves to their desires, slaves to screens. And then when they are asked to be slaves in other arenas, it's like, of course, I've been trained to do this my whole life. All I have is slavery in my life emotionally. All I have is a kind of desire-based slavery. I've never been asked to be more than that. So socialism just rolls right in after that. And I don't think conservatives are making that connection yet. And that's why I'm going to keep talking about things like pornography, sexual issues, gender issues, because conservatives seem to kind of shy away from these things because they don't seem as relevant to them for winning elections. But I think we have to cast a longer vision of the conservative movement that is going to include these topics that are really troubling youth today. And actually, it's not just youth. Let me tell you, 1 in 4? What is it? Let me get my exact stat. 1 in 5 mobile searches. Yeah, 1 in 5 mobile searches are for porn. With VR coming out, we're expecting the VR is virtual reality. I've had a lot of people older than me ask me what I'm talking about. Virtual reality is when you put those goggles on and you can go into a world that's different than ours. They're expecting virtual reality porn to be a $1 billion business by 2025. That's going to be more than the Madden content. That's going to be more than the video game content. They're expecting it to be porn. So this is something we have to be looking.
What they are doing, Michaela, is literally they're paralyzing. This is going to impact men. Let's face it. This is going to impact men a whole lot more than it's going to impact women. Though I do believe that it is going to impact women severely, but in a different way. And I see your point as far as relationally. Listen, I can tell you as a young man growing up who watched porn and had books and magazines and all that kind of stuff, it destroys you. I mean, when once I got saved and started changing my thought life and all that kind of stuff, people have no idea what pornography does to men. I mean, I can tell you, and I don't mean to gross the audience out, but it's just true. And I bring Michaela on because I do believe that conservatives need to start thinking about this stuff more. The same is true with abortion. Somebody emailed me recently and said, listen, I was almost a Republican until you started talking about abortion and blah, 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 and this and that. So it was a one issue person. But I'm like, so what? I'm going to keep talking about it because it impacts society. I believe it impacts the black community. This eventually impacts marriage too. I believe in the long run, it makes it extremely difficult for men to be content with one woman. So that is one reason why it's important. And then it will lead to decadence in the long run. Obviously, if men can't stick around, don't want to be around for one woman, they'll never want to necessarily get the woman's heart. They just want to get, you know what I'm saying. This is... Go ahead. Go ahead.
You said something really important there about marriage. So this issue, these sexual issues, these relational issues are paramount because they erode the family structure. Family structure is the micro-government. It is our first government we ever enter into. I try to explain this to people. It's where we learn how the world works. When you enter into a family that's broken, the assumption is that the world is broken and you have to take the rest of your life to retrain that. Anyone who has grown up in a family, which is a lot of us, that wasn't fully together, knows that. And freedom doesn't come naturally to a broken person. So without family, without these loving marriages, we cannot fight back socialism, which is a big rallying cry for conservatives, as it should be. And we can't have family without love. So these gender issues, these love issues, these human relationship issues, these sexuality issues are paramount because the thing is, it's interesting. If you've ever read Abigail Shrier, I love this woman. So Abigail Shrier has been studying the rise in transgender identification of young girls. And she points out in her book, Irreversible Damage, highly recommend, that the more sexualized our kids become, asking them to pick a gender at age 6, that before they even have their first kiss, we're asking people to decide out of a litany of genders who they are. The more that we sexualize them, the more disconnected they become to themselves and to each other. So things like porn, it actually results in less healthy, loving sex, less love, not more. And these things are crucial for marriage.
Michaela, let me interrupt you for just a sec. We only have 20 seconds before the break, so I'm going to ask you to stick with me if you can. I want to finish up this topic and then get to this Instagram topic if you can sit around for us here.
I'd love to.
Okay. All right. I'm talking to Michaela Goetz of the Something Burger podcast. We'll be right back.
Family can pick you up every time you fall. Every time I take one step forward.
When Wright came in this morning, he wants to fight you.
No one expected this out of him.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I grew up poor, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
We'll all be able to say, free at last, free at last.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is. You must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth, okay? To deny that the Taliban, that you are giving Afghanistan over to the Taliban if you leave.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay. As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy, and thankfully, without any American casualties. We have seen thousands of people who have been evacuated from the airport in Afghanistan, where the United States military doing very hard and difficult work.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get all those Afghans out of Afghanistan. Again, let me read the numbers to you. This was leaked, and it's on the Federalist. We've got the whole article posted at MikeOnline.com. According to this leaked information from the U.S. State Department, the evacuation numbers, within 15-hour period of time, August 23rd, midnight to 3 p.m., the United States evacuated a total of 6,916 people. Only 483 were Americans. The vast majority were Afghan nationals, 6,425.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
Afghanistan
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. Again, the number to call in to the ReliefFactor.com studio is 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. On the line with me is Michaela Goetz of the Something Burger podcast. And again, that's spelled at, or you can find her on Twitter at Michaela Goetz, and that's spelled MIKAYLAGOETZ. For those of you that want to check out her podcast, Something Burger, you can find it wherever podcasts are found. And we're talking about, or she did an episode entitled "Does Porn Kill Love?" And it absolutely does. We know this. I mean, just being a man, and if men just being real, If you've ever looked at porn back in the day or whatever, or struggled with pornography, it does impact your thinking. Instead of picking that girl that's right for you, you're focused on one thing and you could care less about anything else. And then ultimately, you end up hurting that girl. So you destroy the man who God designed to be a protector, provider, so on, etc. And now he's just this sexual predator of sorts. And then you end up destroying the girl, because she can never get this man that she truly desires, because his mind just isn't completely there. He's not all hers, if you will. So it does impact us in that way. And I really do think that conservatives need to start paying more attention to social issues. It drives me nuts when Republicans say that we shouldn't talk about social issues, we'll get killed. We shouldn't legislate morality. And I'm like, we shouldn't legislate morality. What the heck do you think the left does? We always legislate morality. It absolutely makes no sense when people say don't legislate morality. And then you see the society and culture is just going further and further and further to the left, Michaela, because Republicans don't talk about this stuff.
I totally agree. Something else that you brought into this is the relationship between men and women. And I think you don't have to be politically active to see that the rift between men and women is getting bigger and bigger. They're each other's enemies increasingly, and they treat each other like alien species.
Wait, how do you mean? How do you mean? They're each other's enemies. Explain that real quick.
Well, when you have, of course, there's feminism, which is a whole other topic. But I also think that men and women, through things like pornography, for example. Let me get the pornography example. Women feel predominantly men watch pornography, but women watch it too, to be clear. And women usually feel like they can't measure up to that, which ends up equaling less love, less sex. Women become afraid of men, and men become addicted to women on a screen. And that drives a wedge in the possibility of love between men and women, which is a really big issue. A love issue is about the biggest issue we could possibly find. So I agree with you for conservatives to say, like, we can't really talk about that. Love? We can't talk about love? What kind of movement? I don't want to be in a movement that can't talk about love.
Right.
That's just not interesting. It's not engaging for me. It's not important enough. And the thing too is that most people, 40 million U.S. adults, are regularly visiting internet pornography sites. Likely somebody listening is watching regularly, and I don't want this to be a condemnation. I think it needs to be an open discussion, and I highly encourage people to listen to my episode, because I go through all of this, of what this is really doing to us in our society, and are we connecting the things we do in our private life to what we hope to happen in the rest of the world, in our public life? Can we clean up our own lives first? Because we're not going to be perfect. I don't have an expectation we'll be perfect. But if we're hoping to make a more perfect union, we start with the union we have with each other. We start with our home. And conservatives need to get on the ground with that.
It's good stuff. All right, let's delve into this other topic here. Facebook, this was on Breitbart. Facebook's internal documents show the company knows Instagram is terrible for teen girls. According to a recent report from the Wall Street Journal, social media giant Facebook is aware that its Instagram photo sharing platform can have a negative effect on the body image of young women. One of Instagram's internal presentations admits, and I quote, "We make body image issues worse for 1 in 3 teen girls." I got to be honest with you, Michaela. I think that's a low number, but let me just share. We only have a few minutes left, 3 minutes left, but let me share a couple of quick stories with you. So I stopped to get gas last night at one gas station. Last week I stopped at another gas station. 2 separate cars with 2 young girls in each car. They were at a gas station. This was the craziest, weirdest thing to me. And they were just sitting there on their phones, snapping pictures and posing at a gas station, and I'm thinking, what the heck are they doing? And they were so into it. I've literally seen women walking through stores doing that, and I'm like, man, they've become obsessed with their phones, with Instagram, with TikTok, you name it, where I think this is true. Your take.
Yeah, I did not need the study to tell me that this is an issue. I don't think you did either. I think social media has made the journey to womanhood very treacherous for teen girls and for young girls. It has already been confusing for women. They're going through, or girls, teens, they're in puberty. I mean, that is wild. But we're seeing people are increasingly hating themselves and doing everything they can to escape themselves. And I think social media plays a huge role in that. And with girls especially, I know we don't have a lot of time, but really quickly, we're seeing a mass exodus of girls from womanhood. And what I'm talking about is transgender identification. Girls who are saying, I don't know what I am, but I don't want to be a girl. And I think social media plays a huge role in that. I mean, gender dysphoria used to affect 0.01% of the population, and it was almost always men. And now it's mostly young girls, prenatal girls. 2016 to 2017, gender surgeries by females quadrupled. We need to be looking at this. I think it's
predominantly white.
Predominantly
white as well. Am I wrong? Because I believe
white and also upper middle class.
Yeah, okay, because sadly, I think you're absolutely right. But in addition to that, you have all this social justice movement going around the country, and you have white girls that are feeling left out. This, too, according to Abigail Schreier. So you have young white girls that want to, they're buying into the victim mentality, and everyone else is getting attention for being a victim, so why not me? So this is...
Because everybody is taught to hate themselves, to find something in them that is a victim and not a victor, or something in them. Everyone's being told they're an oppressor, the oppressive class. And of course, if you're a young girl, maybe a young white girl, and you're trying to escape from being the oppressor, the worst thing you could be as a teen, by the way, in society right now, then they have this way out. And you're seeing not only social media, you're comparing yourself to all these people. Maybe you've watched violent porn against women. Of course, young girls are making an exodus from womanhood. This is going to be a problem for us. We're seeing this grow at a rate we've never seen in human history, where young girls are saying, I just don't want to be a girl anymore. And we're going to see this, of course, men are not exempt from any of these issues. They have different issues. But with Instagram, it's specifically affecting these young girls. The question I think that we want to ask the audience is, how do we bring these people back home? How do we remind them that they're loved and that they're beautiful? Because without that, freedom doesn't stand a chance. And I think that's our job as conservatives, is to remind people that they are loved and they are beautiful and they have a place to come back home.
And they deserve the best of the best. I think God offers the best of the best, and you have so many people settling for less. Michaela Goetz of the Something Burger podcast, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
What happens when they are perhaps, God forbid, murdered by their parents? Whose responsibility is it?
Well, they're worried about the Taliban and the Taliban women. Worry about the Taliban in America. Because that's what these guys are real for.
Yeah.
The Taliban in America. That's you guys if you're listening to America First. And the irony, Whoopi Goldberg, did you catch that? Jen at the beginning said, what happens if these parents kill the children after they're born? Well, what's abortion, Jenna?
Well, right. I mean, so we're okay with them murdering their children before they're born. We're just concerned with murdering after they're born. Got it. So legalizing unborn children's murder, totally fine with the radical left, but their arbitrary line of saying, oh, I'm sorry, after birth, then it becomes actual murder. I mean, this is how crazy the left is.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I had with my producer prior to coming on just now, I said that either of my children could have done better, and then he said, your grandchildren, who are 10 and 5. It's hard to imagine. I think the 10-year-old could have managed it better. However, I do want to say something. I was listening to Tucker Carlson, for whom I have great respect, and he had what is the woman's name again? Lara Logan, for whom I also have great respect. And she was on, and she was saying, opposing the way in which we exited or are exiting Afghanistan does not mean that one opposes exiting Afghanistan. They're two separate issues. Well, they are. They are two separate issues. However, I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is. You must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth. Okay?
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
But don't worry, everybody. The Biden regime, they're taking this very seriously. In fact, the Biden regime has issued a scathing memo that has made the Taliban legitimately frightened. I am reading, quote from thehill.com, the State Department voices concern over all-male Taliban government. This is shocking. In fact, this could change the political dynamics of the entire region. The spokesperson says, we have made clear our expectation that the Afghan people deserve an inclusive government. The State Department says that they will judge the Taliban by its actions, not words. And of course, one of the people that are running Afghanistan is Haqqani, who runs the Haqqani network that was created thanks to our reckless withdrawal from Afghanistan.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. The number to call in, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. This from Sean. A huge crowd of BLM protesters gather outside of New York City's The Met just as fashion's biggest night kicks off at the gala. Is it gala or gala? Multiple arrests have been made as dozens of police clash with BLM protesters, Uncle BLM protesters, outside New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art on Monday. Cops can be heard yelling at demonstrators lining the streets to move back. Meanwhile, protesters chant Black Lives Matter. In footage of the event, the gala, which usually, this is on Daily Mail, by the way, dailymail.uk. The gala, which usually takes place on the first Monday in May, was delayed due to COVID-19 fears until tonight. So a huge crowd of protesters have gathered outside the 2021 Met Gala in Manhattan just as the host of A-listers arrive for the biggest night in the in the fashion calendar. That's pretty interesting. I would have never guessed that, but perhaps maybe even some of the BLM protesters are seeing the blatantly. I think this goes beyond hypocrisy. I really think that AOC and the people that attend this function, it's like, hey, they're on another level. They are the elitists, and it's you're looking in from the inside, from the outside, and I think that's the way that Democrats want America to be. I mean, this is exactly what they're doing. This is what they do in California. By the way, going back to this issue of Gavin Newsom's white privilege, in a stark contrast with Elder, Elder, again, is obviously a nationally syndicated radio host. His father, a former Marine, took 2 jobs as a janitor to support his family before opening up a small cafe. Mr. Elder grew up in South Central Los Angeles. His former high school was Crenshaw High, featured in the 1991 film. I can't believe that film was made in 1991. I got to stop reading some of the years on this stuff. It's just crazy. It's depressing at times. All right, so Elder attended Crenshaw High, the school that was featured in the film Boys in the Hood. Elder was elected, or if elected, Elder would be California's first a black governor. I don't say African American. This reads African American. I don't like the term. I don't like the hyphenated terms. I think they just ultimately divide us. So black governor is what he would be. He would be California's first black governor. And honestly, I hate that we're still at this point. To be quite honest with you, what he would be is California's best governor since probably Reagan. That's what he would be. And perhaps even better, to be blunt with you. In August, the LA Times, you guys know this already, but published an opinion column headline, Larry Elder is the black face of white supremacy. Where is Gavin Newsom speaking out on this stuff? He knows this stuff is happening. If he's not racist, how come he's not speaking out against this stuff? He's seen the whether white, Latino, whatever. He saw the woman throw the egg at Larry Elder. Why wouldn't he say, listen, this is uncalled for? Here's the truth. I'm telling you, leftists believe that black conservatives are subhuman. They have no problem. That's why they'll never have a problem with calling blacks and Uncle Tom or any other plethora of names they might use to make blacks, conservative blacks, look bad, sound bad, etc. They have no problem with it. White liberals have absolutely no problem with it. It's that. Okay. Thank you. It's okay to say gala or gala, so they're both correct. Thank you. So this is where we are. And then a few days later on MSNBC's after the headline read Larry Elder is a black face of white supremacy, Joy Reid accused Elder of falling victim to white supremacist narratives. And honestly, I don't know what the white supremacist narratives are. See, this is for. Yeah, exactly. Larry Elder is not a victim. This is for the dummy vote. Joy Reid should be ashamed of herself. Maybe she knows this, or maybe she doesn't. Maybe she's too ill-informed to know this. But this type of language, when they use language like this, white supremacist narratives, what's a white supremacist narrative? That you should be able to afford a home? I wonder if Joy Reid owns a home. That if you live in the state of California, you should expect your governor to create laws and your state legislators to create laws that'll preserve some of the rainwater. Like seriously, what's white supremacist narrative? That you want to live in a safe community that's not riddled with crime? These people, see, I really, these people are so dumb, they're making their viewers dumb. We'll be back.
Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Any teacher who's taping masks to 9-year-olds' heads should be fired immediately. I mean, that's not I'm not going out on a limb here to say that. Do you disagree with that? Now, the lunatics who are so mask and vaccine crazed, who are freaking out about 100,000 people in a college football stadium, I'll bet they think that's okay. Well, if the 9-year-old doesn't have his mask on, you got to tape it to his head. Now tape the mask around it so it stays over his mouth and his nose. Not only should the teacher lose her job, she should be arrested. That's assault.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
You know, General McMaster and Secretary Esper are blaming you for the Doha Agreement. They're saying that you empowered them. What do you make of these criticisms from General McMaster, who was your second national security advisor, and Secretary Esper?
Yeah, these are two guys. You know, I had great people in my administration, but those two were stiffs. McMaster was not a smart guy. All he liked doing was talking to the press, and I rarely listened to him, and then ultimately fired him. And Jesper, I called him Jesper because all he did was say yes. Jesper was like a little boy. All he did was say yes. No matter what you asked him, he was a lightweight. And honestly, should not have been in that position. We were rushed because there was a difficulty with a good man who was in there prior to him. He had some family difficulty. And I gave Jesper a try and put him in there for a short period of time. He didn't have what it takes. The men didn't respond. The men and women, the people within the military, did not respect him. And McMaster, all he did was like to write things and write books and complain, and he wasn't a smart person. Just so you understand, they're complaining about the agreement that I just talked about with you, which had strong conditions. And when the reason, as an example, I wanted to be out as soon as possible. We had to get out strong with all our equipment and no death. The reason nobody was killed in the last 18 months was because of what we did. Beyond the agreement was because of the relationship I developed with the leaders, and in particular with Abdul.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
This is the left, and we've heard this so many times, that the word is fluid for the Constitution. Oh, it's fluid, it changes in meaning, so there's no real specific definition. Well, that's not true. The hallmark of our Constitution is not just separation of powers, but limited specific powers. And so on the federal level, the Biden administration and the executive branch and even Congress are limited to the specific enumerated powers that are given in the United States Constitution. Our 9th and 10th Amendment reserve all powers that are not enumerated to the states and to the people. So that doesn't mean then that the states are just unlimited in their authority either. And so the federal government has absolutely no authority to tell the states what to do with respect to vaccine mandates, with respect to any of these things that infringe upon our liberty and freedom. We're no longer in a state of emergency.
Show. The number to call in, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. Guys, do you want to be on the outside looking in, or do you want to be back in control? That's the choice that you have in California. Quite frankly, that's the choice that we're going to have in 2022. Do you want to be on the outside looking in, where a bunch of elites are making the decisions for you, where a bunch of people like AOC, who once was supposedly for the little man about 2 or 3 years ago, and now she's at a gala where the ticket prices are $30,000 to $35,000 per person, or $275,000 per table, and she's sitting there talking about she wants to make a statement for the little people, so she goes in and wears this dress that says "Tax the Rich." Well, you are the rich now, AOC. How did you get rich being in Congress? I don't know, but it can't be above board. I would think it's not yeah, Joe Biden, that's for sure. Joe Biden did do it, but it can't be above board. So now here was this girl who came into Congress, and, she was just so happy and elated to get elected to Congress. And it was such a cool thing because now she was kind of keeping up with the Joneses. She got better pay and all this kind of stuff. She went from being a bartender, I believe, or working in a bar, at least, all the way up to Congress. That's called American privilege, by the way. That's called American privilege, where you can go from being a bartender or a bar back, and then you're in Congress. That's American privilege. And yet this lady just spews hatred for this country. But she loves going to these galas now. $35,000 per person. AOC will never go back to her prior life. She doesn't want to. She likes the power. She wants to crush you. She wants to be a part. She now wants to be a part. She's found a new home. She's found a new family. She's decided who she wants to be. She's decided who she wants to hang around with. Getting back to this issue with Larry Elder. You talk about Gavin Newsom had an opportunity to stomp racism. He could have called out, hey, this is uncalled for, an egg being thrown at Larry Elder. This is something I won't tolerate. Now, they don't think about this stuff. They don't care about racism. They don't care about any of that stuff. They just care about controlling you. They care about the power that it gives them, the prestige that it gives them, all the fancy parties that they get to that they get to go to. That's all that matters to them. It's really as simple as that. It's sad, but it's really as simple as that. And then you have people like Joy Reid, and I don't draw pleasure from calling people ill-informed or dumb or so, but I'm either she's ill-informed or she is dumb. She talks about these white supremacist narrative. What is a white supremacist narrative? Let's go. Let's take housing. Of all the reasons people are leaving California, the high cost of owning a home tops the list. So here's what Elder hopes to do. He hopes to bring down the cost by increasing the supply. And how will he do that? Well, he proposes to do that by reducing the environmental regulations that make it so hard to get anything built in California. If you have more properties, guess what? More people can rent, more people can buy. You have more options. Prices come down. It's as simple as that. Where's the white narrative there? Black people don't want to own homes? This stuff makes no sense. I guarantee you, Joy Reid. I don't know where Joy Reid lives, but I guarantee you she doesn't leave her TV gig and go climb under a tree somewhere at night. This makes no sense. So is Joy Reid living a white narrative? Because Joy Reid appears to be living the American dream. She lives in Pembroke Pines, Florida? Wow, she's in my backyard. That's well, no, she's not in my backyard because Pembroke Pines is bougie. But so she's not in my backyard. So Joy Reid is living the good life. She's living the American dream. She's living the white supremacist narrative, I guess. Take education. Recent scores from the National Assessment of Educational Progress show that progressive California isn't working for its Black and Latino children, with some of the nation's largest racial achievement gaps. Elder says, this is from Will Swaim. If we determine racism by results, our public education system is among the most racist in America. This failing structure is fiercely protected by the teachers' unions, which nationally back Newsom. By contrast, Elder's small L libertarianism would give all kids the choice to attend a good school, whether public, private, or religious. Put it this way, Swaim says, if you're one of the haves, California, with its beautiful weather, healthy lifestyle, and great outdoors, has much to enjoy. But if you're middle class or aspiring to become middle class, California progressivism keeps you struggling. It keeps you on the outside looking in. So again, you have this option tonight, and you can vote, I believe, up until 8 o'clock. But maybe it's 7. So get your butts there in person and vote. Yeah, don't wait till 8 for sure. Because if they know you're a Republican, they're going to lock you out and say they're closed while 100 Democrats circle around you. That's exactly how they'll roll. Democrats play dirty. I don't care what anybody say. They play dirty, and they will play the game. So get yourself there. If they say you voted, say, no, I have not. Yeah, I need my vote to count. I'm not accepting this provisional ballot. Don't get crazy. But honestly, be stern. It's time to do some fighting back here. But this is the option that you have. Do you constantly want to be on the outside looking in, California? Or do you want to run things again? Do you want to be in charge? Do you want the American dream? What's sad is I believe that so many people have been victims of Democrat policies for so long that they no longer even realize how bad the policies are affecting them and keeping them and holding them back. It's absolutely insane. And I think that's what's happening in California. Larry Elder can fix that. But first, you have to recall Gavin Newsom. All right, let me talk to you about Pure Talk USA. Last month, an absolute landslide of you made the switch to Pure Talk. You were chained to overpriced, unlimited plans from Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, then finally decided to make the switch because you know that Pure Talk saves the average family over $800 a year without having to sacrifice coverage. Friends, if you haven't yet made the switch to Pure Talk, this is the easiest decision you'll make today. You can keep your phone, keep your number, or get huge discounts on the latest iPhones and Androids. Get unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data for just $30 a month. Or if you still want unlimited data, you can get that and still save a fortune. Experience why Pure Talk is the highest rated wireless company by Consumer Affairs, whether the preferred wireless partner of AMAC. From your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say Larry Elder, and you'll save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250, say Larry Elder. Pure Talk is simply smarter wireless.
This is why we're fighting for the soul of America.
You should be able to share ideas without fear of being fired from your job or shouted down.
You are not to be heard. This is one of the few things we have no precedent for in the United States.
You have the right to remain silent.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Man, I miss my father, and I want him to be here with me, but he's not.
We all had something in common. A lot of us were miserable. We had no fathers in our lives.
This is how I began the life of crime.
I desired to have a father who would tell me that what I did was wrong.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I think this family can pick you up every time you fall.
Every time I take one step forward.
When Wright came in this morning, he wants to fight you.
No one expected this out of him.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I grew up poor, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
We'll all be able to say, free at last, free at last.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left.
Wow, unbelievable. Men from Afghanistan. Yeah, the left really cares about women's rights. They don't mind grown behind Afghani men marrying little 9 and 10-year-old little girls. They don't mind watching video, and I guarantee you they've seen the video of the Taliban straight beating women on the street, which would look like a rubber, like imagine a solid rubber water hose that's twice as thick as your typical water hose, just beating women with these on the street. They know this is happening, but the left cares about women. And they love men that pretend to be women. They love men that pretend to be women in sports, killing women's sports. The left loves that. Yeah, the left loves women. This is why the social issues are important to talk about, because on every issue, if we speak common sense to people, if we speak conservative values, we win. You know why? Because our values are natural. They're common sense, because when a light goes off in your brain, you're like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. Oh yeah, I knew that all along. That's what Judeo-Christian values, that's what conservative values do. They're just common sense. God-given common sense. Let's take a couple of calls here. Let's go to Leonard in Spring, Texas. Leonard, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic. Leonard, are you there? Hey guys, I'm not hearing anything. Are we on? Okay. Anyway, I'll keep. Let me go back to this issue with Elder here. I'm sorry. Let's go to Leonard in Spring, Texas. Leonard, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
How you doing, sir?
Doing good.
So, like I was stating to the gentleman, I'm a former Democrat, 72 years old, a veteran, Vietnam era. And I've been a Democrat pretty much all my life, except for the last few years. You know, I voted for Obama twice, of course.
Wow.
Yes. And that's when I started realizing Democrats don't care about black people. Because I was saying, what's happening at the borders? Why are these people coming here? When we have all of these race hustlers like Sharpson telling us we need jobs, and we have people breaking into the country.
Leonard, listen, Leonard, we only have 20 seconds left. I want you to hold on if you can, because I want to hear your call. And I'm going to go to the rest of you callers. I appreciate your patience. I want to hear from you tonight. I want to hear about the California recall, get your thoughts. We'll be back with Leonard from Spring, Texas on the other side.
Trending now on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Jen Psaki, the pressure is getting to her, questioned by Peter Doocy, a famous clip already, cut number 11.
But does the president have a sense that most of the criticism is not of leaving Afghanistan, it's the way that he has ordered it to happen, by pulling the troops before getting these Americans who are now stranded? Does he have a sense of that?
First of all, I think it's irresponsible to say Americans are stranded. They are not. We are committed to bringing Americans who want to come home. We are in touch with them via phone, via text, via email, via any way that we can possibly reach Americans to.
Jake Tapper thinks they're stranded on CNN, cut number 4.
Look, I understand that people are working long hours in the White House, the National Security Council, State Department, Pentagon, and over in Kabul to get Americans out of that country. And I understand the White House wanting to reassure the nation that all Americans will ultimately be evacuated. But there are no doubt Americans who feel stranded in Afghanistan right now.
Of course there are. It's absurd for the White House, and it tells you something about Joe Biden. Britt Hume was on with our friend Guy Benson on his radio show yesterday, said this, cut number 1.
But anybody who ever heard him speak for any length of time could tell that this was not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And, he could talk forever and was famous for it. But you never had the sense that he was terribly smart. And on top of that, now he's manifestly senile. And between those two things, this is a man with very, very severe limitations who is well too old, in my opinion, to be the President of the United States.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Whoever in the White House decided it would be a good idea to try and get everyone out by September 11th, 2021, and thinking that would be some positive PR win for the United States should be fired, because that's a huge, huge propaganda win for the Taliban. And now it's also put us in the practical position on the ground of being entirely dependent on the largesse of the Taliban to get our people out. And I guarantee you, we're going to leave thousands of people behind. And that's unacceptable for the United States of America.
Congressman Gallagher, I'd like to point to 2 lies. The first lie is that we were obliged to leave by May 1. The Taliban broke the agreement at least as early as March when they attacked forward operating base Chapman and wounded 7 Americans. So they violated the agreement. We're already beyond the May 1 deadline. There is no agreement, and there is no need to go. Secondly, there's a terrorist threat. Every American who's been in Afghanistan, including you, has been under a terrorist threat whenever they have been there. We've got 6,000 of our finest Marines in the 101st Airborne. I know I don't want any of them hurt either. But what do you make of those two arguments that we've already extended the deadline and we're under a terrorist threat?
Well, of course, the Doha Agreement was conditions-based, and one of the conditions was that the Taliban not allow al-Qaeda to operate from their territory, and of course they did. I believe even the UN pointed that out at one point, and if you don't think that's true, then there's evidence in the form of the fact that we've killed al-Qaeda operatives on Afghanistan soil.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
This is the left, and we've heard this so many times, that the word is fluid for the Constitution. Oh, it's fluid, it changes in meaning, so there's no real specific definition. Well, that's not true. The hallmark of our Constitution is not just separation of powers, but limited specific powers. And so on the federal level, the Biden administration and the executive branch and even Congress are limited to the specific enumerated powers that are given in the United States Constitution. Our 9th and 10th Amendment reserve all powers that are not enumerated to the states and to the people. So that doesn't mean then that the states are just unlimited in their authority either. And so the federal government has absolutely no authority to tell the states what to do with respect to vaccine mandates, with respect to any of these things that infringe upon our liberty and freedom. We're no longer in a state of emergency. The state legislatures can absolutely meet, and they can determine whether or not to implement some of these things if they're even constitutional, and there's a lot of reasons that they're not, but that is a specifically legislative designation. So for these executive branch officials to say, hey, we're exercising our emergency authorization, we're going to force every individual to show a vaccine passport before they can take advantage and exercise their rights with respect to going into restaurants, gyms, hotels, all of these things, that is a violation of the separation of powers. Our government is not tyrannical. They can't just decide what's best for you and me in the interest of quote unquote public safety. But this is where, Eric, the left wants to go.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Any teacher who's taping masks to 9-year-olds' heads should be fired immediately. I mean, that's not I'm not going out on a limb here to say that. Do you disagree with that? Now, the lunatics who are so mask and vaccine crazed, who are freaking out about 100,000 people in a college football stadium, I'll bet they think that's okay. Well, if the 9-year-old doesn't have his mask on, you got to tape it to his head. Now tape the mask around it so it stays over his mouth and his nose. Not only should the teacher lose her job, she should be arrested. That's assault.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
All right, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. I'm your special guest host, Carl Jackson, filling in for the great Eldersky. You can find me on Twitter at Carl Jackson Show, Facebook, Carl Jackson Radio, Instagram, The Carl Jackson Show. Listen, just real quick here, report secret Facebook program exempted celebrities, VIPs from moderation policies. Internal review calls it a breach of trust. So basically, Facebook is hooking up their homeboys. Anyone that they feel are worthy of their praise and admiration, anybody that can get them in trouble, high power, so on, etc., lots of money, liberal elites, they're okay with them. They won't put those same restrictions on them as they put on you, on your First Amendment rights, but they will. They will allow some of their homies to just slip through all the cracks. I'm telling you, they are building a society of the have and have-nots. That's exactly what Gavin Newsom has done. He's giving people crumbs. Hey, here's a $600 check before the election. You know, take it or leave it. Basically, I mean, this is absolutely astonishing to me. The left is telling us exactly who they are. And it astonishes me that people will continue to vote for them. I would expect the homeless people to vote for them. But anybody that wants to get ahead in life, you shouldn't be voting Democrat. Now, think about it. All they do is hate on people. They have agreements every election cycle. It's who you should hate. That's all. Who you should hate. Who's an Uncle Tom? Who's a sellout? Who's pushing, as Joy Reid said, a white supremacist narrative? They cannot talk to you about their policies. It's so easy. It would be, well, theoretically, it's so easy to bring down the cost of housing in California. Why don't Democrats ever talk about it? Why is it that Gavin Newsom, talking about man-made climate change and all this kind of stuff, well, why isn't he doing anything to clean up the forest? He's doing more damage to the state of California just by being inept and not doing his job properly. It's absolutely astonishing to me. So these guys on the left, they get to go to galas that cost $35,000 a person, yet consumer prices for you are up 5.3%. That may not sound like a lot, but that is a lot considering everything across the board is going up. So you have to worry about your gasoline, household furnishings, operations, food, shelter, clothing. You have to worry about all that stuff going up. But the elites, the Democrats, they'll go to a Met Gala, $35,000 per person. That's the left. Anyway, let's go back to our calls. We have Leonard in Spring, Texas. Leonard, thank you for holding on. Welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Yes, sir. So, as I was stating, after voting for Obama twice, I realized that, hey, man, with this so-called community activist or organizer, he's not speaking out on the black-on-black crime. So I really then started using common sense and my wisdom. So from then on, I've been telling everyone, speaking on the inner city TV shows, radios, and believe it or not, once you leave the Democratic Party, you must go underground. We're part of the underground railroad.
Yeah, you're right.
No, sir.
It feels like it, yeah.
Harriet Tubman is our guardian angel because you're scorned, you're ridiculed, and you banished. You pretty much banished symbolically.
Right.
The whole family, my black family. You'd be surprised how we are brainwashed. The black people are brainwashed by the Democratic Party, and we are not expected to do anything. What do you want? More accountability. And so I realized, I'm 72, so during the 50s and 60s, during segregation, we were more conservative back in those days and didn't realize it. We believe in God. We believe in family. We believe in work ethic. We had great morals. We had beliefs in the country. We loved the country. We stood up for the flag. But now these Democrats, these socialists, they got us hating the country. They got most of us hating the country. That's what I realized, and that's why I left. So as often as I can, I speak out because I'm trying to make up ground, man. For all them years I lost dealing with the Democrats.
Wow. Leonard, listen, honestly, I understand your point and I feel your pain. I'm telling you, I had first a spiritual wake-up call, and then I read a book by this guy by the name of Larry Elder. And then I started reading a couple of other books, and I could not believe it. I started doing more research because I thought that Larry, I'll be honest with you, guys, I used to buy into this nonsense. So I was sitting there thinking like, all right, I'm a Christian now, but this guy's just bashing black people. He's probably, he's probably a sellout, this and that. And then I started reading the material, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I started doing more research, took his book home and read it. But let me tell you what you are, Leonard. You're a runaway slave. You talked about the Underground Railroad. Would I say that black conservatives are more tantamount? People on the left will call us Uncle Toms, and I don't care. I'm just living to please God. But it is hard when it comes to family. I totally get that, and I feel sorry for you in that issue. And I will pray for you when it comes to that you'll be able to strengthen some of those relationships. But I want you to hear it from me that you are a runaway slave. Because your thoughts are now consumed with freedom. And I love that.
That's the main thing, freedom and able to use common sense and wisdom.
Yep. Yes, sir.
God bless America.
All right, Leonard. God bless you. I appreciate the call. Great call. Let's go to Brandon in Sacramento. Brandon, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Hey, Carl. How's it going?
Doing good. Thank you.
I'm here in Sacramento, and I'm just watching the news, and I see that it's just one-sided. It's all about Larry's trying to push fraudulent accusations, and he's concerned with that, and it's kind of scary because I called a couple of the news stations and spoke to the newsrooms, and I asked them, I said, hey, how come you guys aren't being fair? Because when you're not being fair, it causes people to not make an intelligent or right decision. It only shows one side. And also, too, my theory is this. Let's say hypothetically, if CRT is true, critical race theory, then, hey, why not remove the white man and put the awesome Larry Elder, who would be the first African-American in office?
Well, that's because it doesn't apply to black conservatives. But I tell you what I love, Brandon, something that you said. You said you called the news station. That's what we need. God's to honest truth. We need more people willing to do small things like that may make a big difference in the end. So God bless you. I appreciate it. The news is going to manipulate this. Listen, they're leftists. The media, the vast majority of media are leftists. I can't even say that they're Democrats. They're leftists, and they're going to spin the narrative in their favor. And they get high off of this stuff. They feel moral by advocating for democratic policies. They feel better about themselves when they tell people, hey, we're going to work hard to make sure that you have a welfare check for the rest of your life. Instead of saying, you know what, get up off your butt. What's your God-given gift? Let me help you get there. Let me help you figure this thing out. That way you can work, have some dignity. You can feel great about yourself, no matter how much money you make, because you're doing what God has called you to do. They don't work that way. They don't work that way. They alleviate God. They want to be God. They want the power. They believe that government is God, and they act that way, and they legislate that way, and they govern that way. We'll be back in a few. This is Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder.
This is why we're fighting for the soul of America.
You should be able to share ideas without fear of being fired from your job or shouted down.
You are not to be heard. This is one of the few things we have no precedent for in the United States.
You have the right to remain silent.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
man, I miss my father and I want him to be here with me, but he's not.
We all had something in common. A lot of us were miserable. We had no fathers in our lives.
This is how I began the life of crime. I desired to have a father who would tell me that what I did was wrong.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I think this family can pick you up every time you fall.
Every time I take one step forward.
When Wright came in this morning, he wants to fight you.
No one expected this out of him.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I grew up poor, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
We'll all be able to say, free at last, free at last.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is. You must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth, okay? To deny that the Taliban, that you are giving Afghanistan over to the Taliban if you leave.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay. As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy, and thankfully, without any American casualties. We have seen thousands of people who have been evacuated from the airport in Afghanistan, where the United States military doing very hard and difficult work.
It's very difficult to get all those Afghans out of Afghanistan. Again,
Hey, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. Shortly here, I'm going to talk to you about the reasons Democrats are always winning, even when they lose. And I'm telling you, Republicans can take a lesson from Nancy Pelosi. I'll get back to your calls in just a sec. Phil in Texas, you are up next. Here's some breaking news. Bring back the California dream. Dodger legend and Hall of Famer Mike Piazza goes to bat for Larry Elder. That's what I'm talking about, Mike. Dodger legend and Hall of Famer Mike Piazza proudly announced his support for Larry Elder in the recall vote to replace greasy Gavin Newsom. Elder posted video of Piazza urging Californians to vote yes on the recall and make it possible for Elder to oust Newsom. Piazza explained that Elder wants to bring back the California dream. Again, this is about you guys. Elder just happens to be Elder just happens to be the person that can implement policies to give you back your California dream, American dream, whereas you have greasy Gavin Newsom that has been working diligently to take it away. Creating this society of the have and have-nots, creating this society of the elites. Does anyone for a second think that Gavin Newsom is some brainiac? Yet he thinks he's better than you. He thinks that he can control you. That is so un-American. I'm constantly baffled and just confused. I don't get it. How so many Americans will willingly lay down their freedoms. I think perhaps you guys haven't read history. Liberals talk about slavery all the time, but they don't understand what it means to be enslaved. You see, freedom is a scary thing, and I understand this. When conservatives say personal responsibility, liberals are, oh my God, they get all scared. They get all scared and they go nuts and they go crazy. But freedom it can be a scary thing, and I get it. But it's also gratifying. It's amazing to know that you accomplished something in life. You didn't have something handed to you. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. But it is just worth the journey. Freedom is worth the journey. Freedom is worth the struggle. Freedom is worth the fight. Freedom is worth even the fear sometimes. It's worth it. It is worth it. Unbelievable. And then here's this story I want to share with you really quickly here. Hat tip to William, who sent me this earlier. General Mark Milley took secret action to secure nukes from unstable Trump after he lost the election and called China's top. So Milley called China's top military leader to reassure the country Trump would not attack in a desperate bid to stay in office. This new Bob Woodward book reveals. I'm not a fan of Bob Woodward, to be honest with you. But listen, if this is true, this guy should be fired. He's absolutely disgusting. And I feel bad saying that because obviously he's a general. This guy's put in work serving our country. But this guy's just been bad all the way around. The Joint Chief of Staff, he's calling China. He's calling China. Milley's extraordinary efforts are detailed in Peril, a new book by Bob Woodward and Robert Costa. He told top military officials he was part of the procedure on military actions. He called head of China's military 2 days after the January 6th protests, mostly peaceful protests, to reassure U.S. was not about to attack. He went behind Trump's back. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs was concerned Trump might take rogue actions to stay in office. We are on the way to a right-wing coup, he said. And then CIA Director Gina Haspel, unbelievable, reportedly told, this is what Gina Haspel told Milley. Man, this is just disgusting. This is who we're dealing with. We need to clean shop. Those bureaucracies, these generals need to go. I can't wait for them to go. Let's go to Phil in Texas. Phil, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Hey, Larry. Yeah, I'm great I'm sorry, Carl. I am so glad to hear Mike Piazza, one of my top 10 all-time favorite Dodgers behind Willie Davis, Sandy Koufax, and Ron Say. But the reason for my call, have you heard about this song called Blood on Your Hand?
A song called Blood on Your Hand? I have not.
It was Sean Hannity has been playing it on his radio show and on his TV show about a guy that wrote a song about the withdrawal of Afghanistan, and they put clips in there like when Biden says that he will not leave Afghanistan when he told Stephanopoulos until everybody is gone, and then he'll play that, and it's a great song. It's really heartfelt, but it was a disaster what happened in Afghanistan. I'm an Air Force vet. My whole family's military. It was a disgrace to our country. You're welcome. It was a disgrace to our country that we left all those people behind, and yet we're having this dictator tell us that we need to get a vaccine, yet all these hundreds of thousands of people coming across the border with measles, smallpox, they don't have to. And then we bring these Afghanistan, some of them who may be friendly, nobody knows for sure, drop them off at these military bases, and then they can just go anywhere they want to go. I mean, how is that not? And then we have people that were at the Capitol building on January 6th, and they're being treated like they're criminals and they're terrorists. And George Bush alluded to them on his disgraceful September 11th speech by comparing the two. And the only person that was killed was by a cowardly black lieutenant who shot through a wall and a window. In Texas, we have a new law, but if you shoot through a wall to the outside of your front yard and you kill somebody, you're going to go to jail.
Phil,
and this guy was exonerated.
I know, Phil, it frustrates me, and I appreciate the call, by the way. It frustrates me because I totally agree with you. All these people that say, listen, she was breaking in. Obviously, he had more things to be concerned about. There was a riot going on. There's no – listen, guys, I got to tell you, I've been – all right, so I'll share a little more with you. I'm just – I'm getting comfortable with you, all right? So I've been the victim of two violent crimes. And I can tell you, things slow down. I can't explain it, and I hope you never have to experience it. But I'm telling you, for someone to issue a warning shot that kills somebody is insane. I'm sorry, it's insane. I'm a concealed weapons carrier. I like guns. I honestly, there was no reason at that point for that man to shoot her. If he felt threatened at that point, he shouldn't have been on the force. He shouldn't have been on the force. She was coming through a tiny window. I'm sorry. He could have held his gun up. Anyway, listen, in my opinion, there were several things that he could have done before he shot. And that's just my opinion. Anyway, when we get back, there are reasons DC Democrats are always winning, even when they lose. And we'll talk more about the California recall election. Go out and vote. Vote yes to recall Gavin and replace him with Larry Elder. Oh, that's a good one. Hey, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. Just real quick, and then I'll go to my callers, and then I'm going to get on to this issue of how Democrats win even when they lose, and the lesson that Republicans can learn now. Here's a new attack by Newsom. Republicans are trying to dismantle democracy. Now, whenever you hear broad terms like that, it means Democrats think you're stupid. So Larry Elder is telling you what he wants to do for the state of California. And honestly, typically Republicans will do this, and they'll tell you, hey, this is what I'm about. So Larry Elder, if you go to his electelder.com, electelder.com, you can still donate. I would still encourage you to donate because there may be some legal battles ensuing. But he talks about what he wants to do with the COVID lockdowns, give people more freedom. He's talking about Newsom's spending spree, and how Newsom could have more effectively spent California's, budget money. He talks about the housing crisis. He talks about in-school learning. He talks about the crime. He talks about, what is the EDD again, Sean? What does EDD stand for? Employment. Anyway, I'll look that up. I'll click on that. He talks about the wildfire and drought. He talks about the middle class, how to improve the middle class, the plight of the middle class in California. But Gavin Newsom, he wants to dismantle democracy. You see how they talk? They think you're stupid. Gavin Newsom can't tell you one thing that he's done for California. The reason why Gavin Newsom is hopefully will be recalled, is because of Gavin Newsom. Not because of global warming or climate change. Not because Larry Elder is trying to dismantle democracy. But because Gavin Newsom, as a leader and as a governor, has failed. Gavin Newsom has created an environment where Californians are on the outside looking in, where he and the elites from Facebook and the elites like Ocasio-Cortez is an elite now. She just proved that. I'm sure she used to floss like the rest of us, and you want to pretend like you have more than you actually do. You want to front like you're rich when you're broke as a joke. She's not there anymore. She's leaving you guys behind. All those people that voted for her, you thought she was going to be your champion. No, she's going to champion. What she's going to champion is making sure that you continue to be on the outside looking in. Are there any of you out there listening? Whether you be in New York, whether you're in Cali, whether you're a friend of AOC, can you afford a $30,000 meal, a $35,000 meal? Can you afford that? Can you afford a table, $275,000? Yeah, she's one of you. She's one of the little people, right? They want us to believe that nonsense. Let's take Mrs. Watkins in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Mrs. Watkins, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You've got the mic.
Hey, what's up, Carl?
How are you doing, Mrs.
Can you hear me, man?
I can hear you.
Yeah, what's up? Listen, I'm not Mrs., I'm Miss Watkins.
Okay, Miss Watkins.
Yeah, you're right on the mark, man, but it ain't about Gavin Newsom causing himself to be out. God is the power that his time is up. And if God has, and I believe God has purposed and set this time for Larry Elder, they can't stop it. Listen, it's not about black people or any of that. It's about God's kingdom. There's two kingdoms, the kingdom of children of light and the kingdom of children of darkness. And these people, as you call them, the leftists, they're in opposition of us. They're in opposition of us. And that's the bottom line. But God is orchestrating it all. God is in total power of the kingdom of man.
Ms. Watkins, why are you so pumped up? Why are you so pumped up? You're in a different state. Why are you so pumped up?
Because I love God, and I know it's His power. God is the power that He's in total control. I'm 73, but I'm young. My spirit.
You sound young.
But, say what now?
Yeah, I said you sound young.
Well, it's the power of the living God, and I love it. You know what? When Donald Trump was running for the presidency, that's the last time I called the station, and I told Larry, I said, if it's God's will, he will be the next. And the black people, right? It ain't about no black lives. You know, they're darkness. They're darkness. I'm black, and who do they throw eggs on? They threw eggs on this house. You would believe the evil that black people come up against me in Philadelphia. Come on, brotherly love. But you know, I'm standing, and I will stand because of the power of God.
Hey, Ms. Watkins, great call. We have to go. I appreciate you calling in.
Yo, but Larry Elder will become the next governor of California because I believe it's God's will. We love you,
right, thank you, Ms. Watkins.
The Elder Show.
I think this family can pick you up every time you fall.
Every time I take one step forward.
When Wright came in this morning, he wants to fight you.
No one expected this out of him.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I grew up poor, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
We'll all be able to say, free at last, free at last.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is. You must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth, okay? To deny that the Taliban, that you are giving Afghanistan over to the Taliban if you leave.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay. As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy, and thankfully, without any American casualties. We have seen thousands of people who have been evacuated from the airport in Afghanistan, where the United States military doing very hard and difficult work.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get all those Afghans out of Afghanistan. Again, let me read the numbers to you. This was leaked, and it's on the Federalist. We've got the whole article posted at MikeOnline.com. According to this leaked information from the U.S. State Department, the evacuation numbers, within 15-hour period of time, August 23rd, midnight to 3 p.m., the United States evacuated a total of 6,916 people. Only 483 were Americans. The vast majority were Afghan nationals, 6,425.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
Jackson filling in for the great Eldersky. Let me just talk to you real quickly again. Let me remind you, electelder.com, electelder.com, electelder.com. Get your behinds out there and vote. If they say you voted, you tell them, no, you have not. You need to find a way, not a provisional ballot. They need to give you some options. There needs to be a system in California. This is something that you guys are going to have to continue to work for even beyond this election, because this mail-in voting, this is what Democrats want. They cannot win on merit. They cannot beat conservatives or even run-of-the-mill Republicans based upon their merit or policies. So they got to cheat. They got to cheat. That's what they got to do. All right. There's a reason D.C. Democrats are always winning, even when they lose. Hat tip the Federalists. So D.C. Republicans are excited about the 2022 elections. Obviously, we believe that the House is going to be taken back by Republicans. And despite a bad Senate map, we stand a good chance that we may even be able to take back the Senate as well. I don't think we'll be worse off than we are now for certain. But here's what you need to know. First-time presidents typically face a backlash during the midterm election, and most of you guys listening to this show, I know you understand that. Let me give you a few examples. President Barack Obama crushed Senator John McCain. He lost 63 House seats. You guys remember that back in 2010? That was a shellacking. He lost 63 House seats. That was historical at the time. It had not been done, and I think it was close to, I don't know, it was several decades. It was a long time that it hadn't been done, and he received a shellacking. He was moving the country left. We said enough is enough. Tea Party rose up, so on, etc. And then Donald Trump in 2018 lost 42 seats. Now, in Donald Trump's defense, if they weren't talking about Russia the entire time and just giving him tons of negative press, at times up to 95% and more of negative press during Donald Trump's administration. It was absolutely crazy. The fact that he only lost 42 seats was amazing to me. Nonetheless, 42 seats under Donald Trump's leadership. Bill Clinton lost 54. Surprisingly, it was George W. Bush who was the only first-term president to not lose House seats in the midterms in the past 55 years. And that was obviously due to the post 9/11 attacks in the 2002 midterms. Here's what you have to understand. This is politics. Whether it's a Republican, Democrat in the White House, 4 years, 8 years, a new president is swept in, and then party members ride that person's coattails. And then voters realize the campaign rhetoric no longer jives with reality. That's what people are realizing with the Biden administration. Lunchbox Joe sounds more like Karl Marx nowadays. And then by the midterms, the thrill is gone, baby. People understand, hey, that rhetoric not jiving with reality, so they decide ultimately to punish the party in power. Now, unfortunately, this happens to Republicans because the media establishment, the Democrat media, play the game along with the Democrats. But so here's what we do know. 2022, Biden is going to have a bad year. Nobody's passionate about Biden. That's one. And in 2022, Democrats won't be turning out to vote against Trump. It's all Democrats. So even if Biden were doing good, which he's not, he's still being for what Obama once called a shellacking. Here's what you have to understand. COVID cases are way up, despite the fact that Biden inherited a vaccine, right, and a plan. Our kids were subjected to more COVID restrictions. You know, our children are still masked in some places. Flying is miserable for many people that travel via plane. Big businesses have been coerced, and some of them seem to be enjoying it, quite frankly, into injecting their employees with the vaccine. And then small businesses are dying because you have people like greasy Gavin Newsom that loves holding on to these emergency powers that he's gotten. The borders are wide open. So instead of abolishing the border, Biden has abolished the border. We got nearly 2 million people that may have at least arrived there. We got hundreds of thousands of more that most likely crossed into the United States of America. It's totally crazy. But yet and still, you have all of this stuff going on. Inflation under Biden is sticking around, as we talked about earlier. Crime is up. If Biden were to step down, Kamala Harris is less popular even than Biden, so the GOP will still do well even if she steps in. But conservatives, sadly, still don't have a reason to be happy. And the reason conservatives are not happy is simply because even if we win, we typically lose because we get, I don't want to call them rhinos because I think they are Republicans. We need to recognize that. But we get weak and feckless Republicans that absolutely have no courage. Democrats don't roll that way. Just consider the budget fight. Consider Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is 81 years old. She knows that the Democrats are going to lose. And she's like, whatever. Let's go for broke, just like she did with Obamacare, because here's what she knows. Once their policies are implemented, there's no turning back. They may lose today, but they'll win tomorrow. We need Republicans like that. We'll be back. Oh, are we still on? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm looking at this other clock here. All right. So I'm still here. Okay. All right. So this is what the Democrats understand. They understand just get the job done. If they can implement their policies, where did Obamacare go? Remember all those Republicans that were talking about, we got to get rid of this socialized medicine and this? Now they're nowhere to be found. Now, let's figure out how to, manipulate the edges. We can make this a little better. No, you can't make socialized medicine a little better. And look at the doctors you've created now. Now that we see how this Wuhan virus has worked, look at how doctors have behaved in our hospitals. It's like they enjoy the power. It's crazy. You don't want to give doctors that option. The doctors have severely disappointed me during this COVID, this Wuhan virus, if you will. I thought they were people of compassion. And listen, I believe that maybe the majority are, but the way that so many doctors have stayed silent during this Wuhan virus, when they know there's therapeutics out there, it's been absolutely disappointing and astounding to me. The way that they've aligned with government, it's been disappointing and astounding to me. The bottom line is we need Republicans that act like Democrats that share our values. And so it's hard for conservatives to get excited, but this is where you come in. You've got to pick and you got to find candidates like Larry Elder, candidates that aren't going to give you talking points and platitudes and that aren't going to say, we're going to dismantle democracy.
This is why we're fighting for the soul of America.
You should be able to share ideas without fear of being fired from your job or shouted down.
You are not to be heard. This is one of the few things we have no precedent for in the United States.
You have the right to remain silent.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Man, I miss my father, and I want him to be here with me, but he's not.
We all had something in common. A lot of us were miserable. We had no fathers in our lives.
This is how I began the life of crime. I desired to have a father who would tell me that what I did was wrong.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I think this family can pick you up every time you fall.
Every time I take one step forward.
Dylan Wright came in this morning. He wants to fight you.
No one expected this out of him.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I grew up poor, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
We'll all be able to say, free at last, free at last.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is. You must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth, okay? To deny that the Taliban, that you are giving Afghanistan over to the Taliban if you leave.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending.
Remember the story I told you about Hurricane Ida and the man who was attacked by the alligator while his wife, went away, she rowed for help in a boat, and then she came back and he was nowhere to be found. Well, they found the alligator, and apparently they found him. The alligator is 500 and did you say 4 pounds or 40 pounds, John? 504 pounds. Oh, that's so sad, but at least they'll have some closure here. But just real quick here, and then I'll take this last call in Spokane, Washington. Democrats win even when they lose. I mean, they just go for the gusto because they know that ultimately these policies, once they're implemented, you're not going to rein them back. Do you think the public is happy about the military giving out free transgender operations or having generals like Milley, who needs to be fired, by the way, talking about white rage or critical race theory? They don't care. They're going to implement this stuff because you know what? What they'll do, it'll stick around, and then Republicans will try to dismantle it, or they say they will. They won't do anything about it. And then ultimately Democrats will run on it, and they'll get more people angry about issues that Republicans into, and they'll just take charge again. That's what they do. That seems to be Washington. All right, let's go back to Dave. Last call in Spokane, Washington. Dave, we'll try this again. Unfortunately, we have a short period of time again, but you've got the mic. I see Dave in Spokane, Washington. Okay. All right. So no Dave. All right. So anyway, let me just say this, electelder.com, electelder.com. If you have not gone out to vote, there's still, 9/6. So you still got time to get out there and vote and make your voices heard. So make sure you do that. I would recommend that you go in person and shock the world. We need more candidates like Larry Elder. We need more candidates that have courage. This guy has been, verbally assaulted during this campaign, and he's trucking along. Why? Because he thinks that he can help you. He thinks that he can save the state of California. He thinks that he can, or he believes that he can save the California dream. And quite frankly, his policies are practical. If they're implemented, he can. But he needs your help to do that. So make sure you get out there, and finally we can have a politician, if you will, that acts like Democrats, except one that shares our values. That's what we need, not just in California. We need that across the country. Start looking for people that are going to be fighters, people that are willing to take the arrows. Larry Elder is one of them. Go out and vote. Vote yes on that recall. Replace them with Elder. Until tomorrow, don't grow weary doing good. God bless.